Smart 24, driving business.
A very good morning to you watching. My name is Masi Kitsime, and today is the 15th of January 2024. Well, of course, what is making headlines, and of course, the long-awaited day is here. And of course, we over the weekend, I believe most delegates were able to come, most heads of states were able to come into our country, Uganda. Of course, it was a weekend and most people did not witness this, but I guess today it's going to be a fire, because today, that is when we're beginning the Non-Alignment Movement Summit, and of course hosting over thousands of delegates coming into our country, Uganda, and that is going to be our focus today. Well, of course, under the very theme rotating about security, solidarity, and prosperity, we're expecting some of the issues to be addressed here in our very city of Kampala. Well, of course, they will talk about NAM, and of course, what we expect that so far we see that there has been infrastructure development. If you've taken a look at what is happening in our country, Uganda, recently, if you actually move around, you will see that there has been some developments that have been met in terms of infrastructure, roads, some few developments. And of course, the flyover was opened actually to the public just recently. Definitely a lot is going on. So if I were you, if I'm heading that way to Munyonyo and the places that have been designated for the delegates, I would actually be on time, because it's going to be a little bit of traffic with that. Well, of course, with this the non-alignment movement, we expect a lot. People have said that they expect some investments through these foreigners. Of course, at the end of the day, we shall be having some bilateral talks between different nations and heads of state. And of course, talking about investment in some targeting tourism. I mean, all aspects of Uganda, really, they need really investment. And of course, you cannot come to Uganda and fail to look at the beautiful sceneries that we have. I believe we're well endowed. And of course, a lot has been met. I believe at the airport, they mentioned of having screens displaying some of the attraction centers in Uganda here. And of course, security is so tight, trust me. I've been seeing the army deployed. Yeah, so definitely a lot is going on in our capital, Uganda, when it comes to this very summit that we've been anticipating for. So definitely, apart from in boosting our economy, and of course visibility. I mean, Uganda, everyone is internationally, it's gonna make news all over. So you wouldn't be shocked if we are showcasing on different media houses, not only in Africa but also internationally. So it's gonna be the talk of the day. And of course, Uganda is gonna have a chairmanship for the NAM for 3 years. So we expect a lot of work, a lot of expectations from us. Yeah, ourselves. We have to surprise ourselves with this opportunity that we have been given when it comes to hosting this non-alignment movement. Well, of course, that is how we are positioning ourselves actually this year with the MICE strategy, meetings, incentives, conferences, or probably even events like the minister stated as a way to boost our to boost our tourism. It's going to be, we're going to make it a sort of a conference hub. Yeah, that is how we're going to attract millions and millions of people coming into Uganda. Well, it's a very good morning from us here. And of course, I'm with Andrew. Well, Andrew, today is the day we have been waiting for. For those that have been following up with us, yes, today is the 15th of January, and we expect the Non-Alignment Summit to actually kickstart today.
Yeah, and of course, considering the population of 120 countries, contributing about 70%, that is of the global population, 33% GDP. I mean, that is something which is a great opportunity for Uganda to lead such a bloc, 5.3 billion people. That's almost, 70%. So that is a huge population when it comes to using it for the right purposes, most especially when it comes to the market perspectives. And still, when we take a look at some of the few aspects here, the World Bank, according to the World Bank, in 2022, the NAM countries contributed approximately 33% of the global GDP. That is in 2021. And NAM's contribution to global GDP is projected to reach, that is 37% come 2027. So this is all this is for the 3 years Uganda is going to be the chairmanship. So you can see the responsibility the country has, most especially to ensuring that this is quite a reality in some form of perspective. Well, and away from that, still, as the summit is actually ongoing, there is another investment forum that has been held at Serena Hotel, where businesses across East Africa are actually showcasing their products, in terms of showing, proving that, hey, this is what I have. You can come and buy this from me. It's also happening in there. And there is anticipations of about businesses worth $1 billion of business deals to be signed. Now, these are businesses both international and local at the same time. And this is also a great opportunity for actually Uganda to use NAM as the overall, can I call it the outstanding organization, because remember, it's the second largest away from the United Nations. And we see that the United Nations has actually had a few issues here and there, because when you take a look at the United Nations, for example, the Security Council, where Africa actually doesn't have representative, yet on the Security Council, that's where critical decisions are made. The only area where we stop as a country, Uganda, is from this perspective. Actually, most of the NAM countries, most especially talking about those that are in Africa, is just at the conventional level, but the critical at the time when the critical decisions are made, it's not really we don't participate. So this is a chance to use a NAM as one of those key factors when it comes to solving problems, which the United Nations actually has not solved efficiently. So it's quite a huge responsibility that is to the different leaders. But also I was taking a look at the aspect of President Yoweri Museveni being the chairman of this up to 2027, when the GDP is projected of the nominations is projected at 37%. The aspect of balancing interests of member countries, both international and within the continent, social and economic aspects. So I believe those would be part of the key strategies that President Yoweri Museveni will be putting out there. And the fact that he's a man that is well blessed when it comes to ideologies, quite a number of leaders in the process following the G77 plus and the G77 plus China and the NAM will be coming across. Today is definitely day one, and a lot of security is actually deployed on the different routes, most especially where the delegates are heading. I was actually told the borders, the routes where the delegates will be traveling, borders are not allowed there. So that's going to be quite throughout the entire week. So you need to be watchful as you're planning your journeys in the early morning and also late in the evening. Otherwise, you might be a little bit caught up in terms of reaching home in the required time. But of course, we anticipate for the absolute best for the country Uganda. But of course, despite that, we know that NAM consists, the composition of NAM, because lots of critics have actually been onto the aspect that NAM probably has also maybe not succeeded in some areas, which is understandable because when you take a look at the biggest composition, majority of the countries are actually 60% constitutes of developing countries.
Oh yeah.
And a few developed countries. So probably they don't have that huge voice when it comes to determining economic influence. But that's not the picture. The advantage is the population size. The fact that China is actually a big supportive member. She may not be a member, but she supports policy frameworks for these nations when it comes to adjusting how to deal with the West, how to how to negotiate a deal with the Western powers. I think that is quite something which a few critics, which I feel Uganda should it should be something Uganda should work on to create a balance of either West or East. Of course, the purpose is that we don't fall anywhere there, but to make sure that we create a balance that doesn't birth a conflict of interest. Yeah.
Well, of course, a lot of expectations are underway. We talked about investments. I mean, most people are positioned themselves to tap onto this opportunity that has been brought on board, because I believe at the end of the day, Uganda is targeting some of the countries to to do trade partnerships with, mostly those countries where they feel like they have market for their commodities or maybe products. So definitely, I believe that is going to be one huge contribution of this non-alignment movement, and of course. Talking about infrastructure development, I believe that is what we have really gained as a country so far due to this non-alignment.
That it's not being balanced infrastructure development. It's just in a few areas.
It's just in a few areas.
Where the delegates will pass.
But I believe...
there is still a challenge of infrastructure.
Yeah,
I'm talking about sustainable infrastructure.
The whole thing about us having chairmanship, it gives us a huge responsibility. Yeah, because you have to lead by example.
But we hosted Chogan. Didn't we live by example? Anyway, the thing is, it's if a nation is to develop, it's of course it's a collective responsibility. It's as a result of the internal structures. These delegates are actually coming in here, but I'm thinking they have no idea what we are battling. The recent Auditor General's report just killed it all with all institutions. Billions of money spent recklessly. I mean, the delegates don't know all that. However much we're looking at the NAM perspective, there are internal aspects that the nation, which are rotting actually. We're talking about different institutions not taking responsibilities in terms of allocating resources where they're supposed to be allocated. So that is very alarming. Despite all this, we may talk about all this now because, however much. Even if you, for example, like the business forum that is happening at the Serena Hotel right now, I don't care how exposed you are, but if you can't convince me enough that I need to partner with you, that I need to trade with you, that I give me a reason, either by how you market or by the quality of the product that you have. So regardless of us hosting an international conference, it's not automatic that development is going to happen. If we don't deal with the internal structures. Now 96, so next time could we be at 106? Now following all these perspectives, might even end up to 120 trillion. So as much as we are looking at this, we need to see how established are we when it comes to building stable systems within the country, because it's fading out.
Well, that is it for now. I think right about we're going to see what is happening into the press. Well, of course, I have the Daily Monitor, and of course, seeing here about NAM, Globe descends on Kampala for conference, and of course, we're seeing roads, and of course, the most roundabouts around Mukwano, those that head to Munyonyo, where being worked on, roads were being cleaned up. So definitely, it's going to be a smooth ride for those that have their workplaces there, and of course some of the delegates as well. And of course, 7 judges to retire. List is been here, those ranging between 60 and 70 years. And of course, monkey tricks in wildlife body foiled gorilla audit. Well, that is it. That is what happened over the weekend. Yeah, if grab yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor.
All right. Now, as we take a look at the new vision here, a part of the key discussions for the NAM date investment top NAM agenda. And I'm seeing something in here with the developing countries want reforms in the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. Now, of course, these are the Bretton Woods institutions, World Bank, International Monetary Fund, and the World Trade Organizations. And this would be a big factor of discussion. Actually, even the G77 summit will point out on this to see how unfair these countries actually give out these loans, the developing countries, with exploitative policies that come along them. Now, of course, seeing as we proceed here within the new vision, somebody here says why business courses expire. Okay. So why not? It's why university courses expire. So there is quite a huge reason here. Though the National of Education was saying some of the reasons as to why there is delay in ratifying some of these courses is due to the delayed decision-making processes that happen. So that's what, according to the aspects there. So what needs to be done to slow down the bureaucracy of that? Because now that shows you there is an issue. All these were aspects that were released in the Auditor General's report. So what is the solution? What is the way forward? How do we control this? Because if the more this delays, it affects the products that we put out there. That means we shall not have expatriates. We shall have modern day slaves. People going to work, those as maids, and we call those expatriates. No, they can't be. Somebody bringing in an amount of about $200, $300 is not an expatriate really, and all that. And First Lady at Macquarie University engages student leaders for character building. Yes, when you grab yourself a copy, you'll find out further details on that.
Still on the NAM, North Korea, China sent their top officials for the summit. And of course, we see here India donates summit equipment. Yeah, and of course, it included 10 executive buses worth $551,925. That is approximately $2 billion. Then 10 trucks. Wow. Mahindra, the Mahindra brand, it's a very good brand, worth 516 million. Then that's nice. 5 ambulances, worth 948. This is a lot. This is really quite a lot. And of course, flags worth 38 million Ugandan shillings. So thank you. Thank you from India for having donated equipment for us.
That's beautiful.
You mean we're in need? Actually, we were in need of buses to take the delegates around.
Okay, absolutely. Thanks to India for that. And still here, the same India donates buses, ambulances for the non-alignment movement, and the Namibian delegates anticipate business partnerships in Uganda.
And the business fraternity has actually been anticipating for this. They are really ready to tap into
this quite greatly, which is good, which is a good idea.
Those who know actually the importance of this summit, and those that are not aware are not aware of it at all. That's the only difference that we have between CHOGM and this summit. Those who know, they know.
For those who know, they know. And I'm seeing students of International University of East Africa joining efforts. They join Kampala cleanup efforts as NAM starts. So these are university students being part of the cleaning process. And here, 28 heads of state. That is for the NAM summit. Right there as we see. Now here we also take a look at Uganda Revenue Authority, which is translating tax manual into Chinese. The tax manual will be translated to Chinese for some people. right there. So that shows you, maybe there is quite a huge partnership.
North Korea and China,
China,
delegates, many delegates. That,
No.
that means you see the way China is positioning itself.
Yeah.
It's really strategic, really, Lord, because I mean, it's not only they're not going to meet Uganda, they're going to meet other delegates from other nations. So definitely, how about at the end of the day, they'll have discussions with most nations on how they can come about such cases of debt and the like. Well, of course, frustrations and inefficiency in Uganda visa processing. Yeah, that and more when you get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor. Well, of course, right about now we're into the traffic, and of course, we're along Wandegere.
That is Access Road.
Access
As
Road,
we
yes,
can
yes.
clearly see, it is a bit congested. Actually, I advise to the people that are heading back home today, you need to be really so fast.
Back home or
Otherwise,
from work?
yeah,
Going
I
to
mean,
work.
getting back home from work, with what is happening in the morning, there is quite tight security. Remember, we have heads of states of different countries. Definitely, there has to be serious security in control. Friday wasn't really good. I was really late in the night. It was quite a huge congestion.
I can see some, the black and white.
Exactly. Quite I mean, it's Monday. We are the peak of business as usual since festive season. Now this is the peak.
Yeah.
So you can clearly see it's a bit congested. Kampala Road heading towards Ginger. It's the same aspect. Same applies to those coming in from Ginger Road heading to Kampala, and along the Airtel roundabout there is a big issue. That there is the Port Bell Road, which harbors Bugolobi, Luzira, Chitintale, and some part of Motungo, Tabika areas. All those taxis. All the people, they may not be necessarily success, but the people there, they link up to the Port Bell Road. So yeah, that's the situation as we can see. You will just spend about 5 to 8 minutes in the traffic jam before you're set free to head to any other given destination. But tomorrow morning, this should teach you something. That the earlier the better, especially those staying around Kampala and those along the route where the conference is going to be taking place. That is on the Munyonyo route. So basically, we are talking of people along Kabalagala Street, the Riskas and the street, all those areas along Gaba Road. It's something that you need to really take heed as you are traveling in there for that. So that is the situation we're observing here at the Ginger Road traffic lights, just adjacent to the access road. The traffic is moderately high, actually. Not so high, but you will spend some time if you're coming to any areas that are linking up to that. Still see pointing out at Yusuf Flule Road heading to Garden City. It's the same situation. It's quite congested. And actually, as you're sloping down via Parliamentary Avenue, coming up from Serena Hotel along that, and there is quite some blockages there. Checks all over the area to ensure maximum security. Not making mistake. Don't making mistake because you're holding leaders of top nations into your country. So you need to make sure that the security is really worth it from that perspective. Well, that is it for our traffic report at this particular time. It's quite congested, and if you're coming in from any of those areas, you will take a lot of time. Now, that route we are observing, that is the useful road, which links all the way to Fairway Hotel up to Wandegere, actually, Mlak roundabout here. So if you're coming in from Wandegere and you're coming probably to Ginger Road, well, you might be delayed quite a while, 5 to 10 minutes of delay, or even more than 10 minutes. So, and later on, it might get a little much more tight as the day proceeds along. And that brings us to the end of our traffic report. It's exactly 25 minutes past 7. Let's take a little break. And when we return, we have Caribbean South Africa and international updates into the pipeline. Stick around.